according to your feed, maybe OKC, the OKC Thunder, they were back in high school last night. You think they're a little fresh-faced. You think they're a little too young because they had a 2-2 series. They're the number one seed. The Dallas Mavericks are not the number one seed in the Western Conference. And yet, OKC is one game away from elimination. I think that happened for one reason, but you think it's OKC's youth. So tell me about that.
Well, let me be clear that I am not using their youth as an excuse as to why they are where they are, because there's a culmination of things that they are where they are right now, which is basically one game away from going home. But I think their age is starting to show, which is something that I hadn't seen all postseason long from them. It was like, y'all not going to say that this team is too young. Who cares if they're the number one, the youngest number one seed ever in any conference? Who cares about all of that? But right now, their inexperience is starting to show, because this has been a team who has really formed their identity all the way through this postseason, seriously, based on how they shoot the three. They are a three-point shooting team. And 7 for 29 is not going to get it for you. So what happens? What happens now that what has been your identity doesn't work? Experienced teams find ways to adjust. Inexperienced team kind of just keep doing the same thing, hoping that it changes, and it doesn't change. But you know what has been changing? Luka Doncic. We don't care about this. He don't care about this knee. He don't care about this ankle. He don't care about the refs. Luka said, you know what? I'm going to quit playing with y'all and I'm going to show up the way I show up. And so that is one of the reasons why I say OKC's youth is really starting to come through in a way that it hadn't really come through before in this postseason.
You said Luka said stop playing. And look, I'm going to tell you how I feel about Luka, because I'm going to have to sit here and humble myself. I'm going to have to humble myself. Because I've said some things about Luka in the past couple weeks, and I'm so glad. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Natalie, for not throwing up an in case you missed it on Luka, because then I just have to sit there and say, damn, I said that. What year was that? Oh, it was 2024? What month was that? Oh, it was May? I've talked big-ish about Luka Doncic, but here's Luka last night, and then we'll talk about what we saw and what we heard.
We know the last game we played against them at home, we let it go. It was our mistakes, and they hit shots. So our mentality just in the playoffs, it's first to four. So you got to win four before they do. So you got to go game by game.
Yeah, you obviously 30-point triple-double, shot the ball well, but how satisfying was it for you to seal this with that block and transition?
A bit. Next year, all NBA defensive team.
All right, look, Tarika, oh God, oh my God. Some of the stuff I've said about Luka, and I was clowning him, and it was fun. It was fun. I had fun while it happened, but I didn't really think about the consequences. I didn't think about, tomorrow. It was just like,
how that crow gonna taste.
It's my youth, okay? My youth and my inexperience. Okay, taking over. So I had all these things to say about Luka. Oh, I don't fear Luka. Luka doesn't play defense. Luka can't beat the Clippers. Why can't they beat the Clippers? Okay, they beat the Clippers. That wasn't a problem. They finally got by the Clippers in the playoffs in the first round. Here they are in the second round. Luka playing on one leg. And, yeah, he made that block at the end. Luka is playing, if you watch this game, because I'm just sick. I just stay up and watch these games and just enjoy them. He really plays like, not to mix sports, but he plays like Ed Reed used to play, but not as rangy, okay? So he's pretty much playing safety, he's playing free safety on defense. He's not really like getting up on people because he's conserving, he's preserving himself. He shouldn't be out there. He's clearly hurt. And yet he's still able to impact the game in incredible ways. This is, in all seriousness, I know I've clowned the dude. This is already, I don't know how it's going to end for the Dallas Mavericks. This is one of the guttiest playoff performances, just in totality, not just this game, but Luka out there, this series. This is one of the guttiest playoff performances I've seen recently. So you can talk about how he pretty much averaged a triple-double in the regular season. What he did in this game last night, what he's doing in this series, even when the shot hasn't been there and he physically hasn't been there, is impressive. And so much so, Tarika, that I'm looking at Dallas in a different way overall.
Yeah, and you know what else is crazy about that too is I think that I certainly was one who was like, okay, this, not only do we need to see Luka show up, but Kyrie's got to show up. Like, this is your moment. Kyrie, you're the guy, you're that person that has it. But what has been impressive is their supporting cast has also shown up in big moments, specifically in Game 5. That has really helped to take a lot of pressure off of them. So, yeah, you got Luka playing on one leg, but you also got PJ Washington, who's averaging damn near 20 points, shooting from the floor 47%. You also got Derrick Jones who's stepping up. And so I think that's really important for this team, especially if they're moving into the Western Conference Finals, which would potentially be a matchup with Denver. You're going to need your bigger supporting cast to come and assist you. So I love seeing that out of this team. But, I'm not giving up hope on OKC. I'm not completely giving up hope. I would love to see them push this to 7 games. But they've just got to make some, number one, they've got to make some adjustments. Like, if that deep ball isn't there, they've got to figure out other ways to get other people involved other than just SGA. There are some superstars who you can say, hey, I'm just going to pass the ball off to you and make it happen. But he's got to have some help, right? Chet Holmgren, he's tried to a little bit, but wasn't really fit, wasn't really finding his shot. And every team has a bad night, right? Every team has a bad shooting night. Everybody has a day where it's just not your day. But you got to figure out how to make adjustments when it's just not your day. Because SGA ain't going to save you every single time like he did in Game 4. And I don't really talk about Josh Giddey too much for my own personal reasons. I really try not to mention him. But at the end of the day, bro, you got benched in the middle of the game. You got benched. Right. I'm saying all this to say you've got to figure out, more importantly, how to make adjustments, how to go about this size advantage that Dallas has over you. Like, don't let inexperience be the reason that you don't truly make history and make it to the Western Conference Finals. So you got one other shot to get it done in Game 6. You know what?
Inexperience will be the reason, though. Inexperience will be the reason. That will be the reason. And, I'll tell you. Let me tell you a story. When I first started covering basketball, so I took over for a legend. I started covering pro basketball when I was 23. And I was working for the Akron Beacon Journal. And my predecessor was a guy named Terry Pluto. Now, Terry Pluto has written about, I've lost count, seriously, probably like 30 books. Maybe even more. He's just a writing machine. And he was a great basketball writer, a beat writer. And so I took over for Pluto. Pluto became a columnist and kept writing his books, write a column, write a book, spitting them out. So I remember at 23, and I'd hear all these, I thought, man, look at all these old reporters talking about experience and how important it is. I was like, oh, young teams, it doesn't matter just because a team is 24, averages 24, 25 years. It doesn't mean they can't win. And Pluto was like, okay, I hear you. He said, now, do this for me, Michael. I'm gonna give you like a month. Why don't you find an example of what you're talking about? Why don't you find an example of a young team that wins a championship, and then we can talk. I said, yeah, well, I'll bet, watch. Couldn't do it. You can't.
I was just going to say, what'd you find?
No, nothing. I didn't. It doesn't work. And I was almost there, because when he asked me to do it, there was no examples. And then a couple years later, here comes Shaq, young Penny, in the Orlando Magic. I'm like, okay, watch this, Pluto. Watch this. This is a young team. This is what you need. You got a young center. You got a young point guard. They got swept.
I was just about to say, I hope you said that before the NBA Finals actually started, because they ain't win a game.
It's not, and Tarika, it's not OKC's fault. It's not like they're doing anything wrong. It's just like anything else. Yeah. You have experience. You know, and this is the key. Now, they proved it in Game 4. This is where they fooled us all. They fooled me. They fooled everybody else. Game 4, it looked like they were about to lose it. Then SGA takes over down the stretch, and they pull out a victory that looked like a certain loss. It looked like they were going down 3-1. And that is what, but experienced teams do that all the time in the playoffs. They understand, like, oh, we didn't just do this in this game. We understand that any game could be like that. Any game, we may have to go there.
Yep, that's the key. And adjustments. That's like simply the key is adjustments. Experienced teams know how to make adjustments, and inexperienced teams don't, bottom line. And I'm just hoping, I'm spreading some positive energy, Holly. I'm trying to give some positive vibes to this OKC team, that you can find a way to make adjustments. Because I'd really love to see this OKC team, you know, just make some history, do something different. But there are a lot of adjustments they need to make if that deep ball isn't falling for them. And I'm not sure they're experienced enough to figure out what that thing is.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.